Hello, Bond fans. Hello, Yannick. Hello, Switzerland.
Hi, Benjamin. Hello, Germany.
And this is our first episode of the Swiss Connection. People
Exactly.
will be wondering why we have our own program. But
Yes.
what do you think? Why do we have our own program?
Well, because I think, you were just looking in the sort of the history books. It's when did we start? In 2015 it was, I think, right?
Yeah.
When we first got in touch. It was
I think
about
actually it was the year before that when I started making my documentary film, A Bond for Life,
yeah.
that I was looking for somebody to do the music and really liked your work.
Hmm.
So I think that's when I contacted you, and now it's 2019, so
Yes.
5
And
years.
I particularly remember when you got in touch. I think the first time you got in touch, you even wrote me in English, and we both speak German, so that was the first laugh already. Because I
Yeah,
thought, well, we can do this in English. It's not a problem, but why not switch to German?
really? Did I write in
Yeah,
English?
best to my knowledge, I think it was. Yeah,
Odd thing to do,
yeah,
but okay. Yeah, and quite rapidly after you knew what the project was about, we went to Switzerland together. So I came
yes.
to visit you
Hmm.
to do some filming. And of course, the most impressive filming location of them all, that's Saska.
Yeah, exactly. The
But
Contradam from GoldenEye. Yeah,
yeah,
and
but the
what
drive down there was
I was just
quite
about to,
something.
I was just about to say you had we were three people. It was you, me, and Alain, a friend of yours from France, who's also well, do you call him a James Bond aficionado as well, right?
Yeah,
Okay,
definitely.
okay. And so we drove down there, and it was quite a windy road, and so we had to stop and get out of the car. I think two or three times, and then he was in the back, and he almost had to throw up. And
Yep,
but I
yep.
think just a sight when we because for people who haven't been there, I think it's important to say that even if you get close to the dam, you can see it from quite afar, and it's such an
That's true.
impressive sight, and it's very comfortable. I mean, for us, it's a perfect thing because you can just pull up with the car, and then you walk a few
Yeah,
feet, and then you're there, and you're on that thing that was so iconic in the movie.
yeah. And
It's
I
still,
remember you were like, suddenly it was there, and you saw it from your driver's side, and you say, "Oh, there it is." I
yeah,
didn't expect that, and I was like, "Where the hell is it?" And it was covered in trees and stuff. Then,
exactly.
oh yeah, and then it hits you.
Hmm.
It's a size, and we were quite far away then.
Yeah,
So, but
yes,
yeah, you park right next to it,
yeah.
and it was Easter, wasn't it?
It was East exactly because that was the thing. I think you wanted to do a few pictures. We wanted to go down where actually that cabin is, where James Bond wheels open the hatch in the
Yeah,
movie to get inside the facility. And
yeah,
I
right.
think was it right that you had to go actually through the dam to get down there? Because of
Yeah,
course we two would bungee jump.
yeah, correct. So I wrote to the company that owns the dam,
Yes.
which is a power company. So
Hmm. Hmm.
it would have been great
Yeah.
to actually film from the bottom up
Yes.
the dam,
Like in the
but
movie when they do the pan up. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
but
Yeah.
okay.
Wow.
It was as frightening looking down as it would probably be looking up. So
Yeah, that was one of the worst memories because you just wanted to do that shot where you sort of have the same thing like in a movie where you go on top of the head, right, and then the
yeah,
camera, and you have that sort of tiny little whimsy uh, tripod where the camera was mounted on, and you said, I think I had to stand behind you, and you said, go with the camera on top of the head, and I was so incredibly afraid that the
yep,
camera would fall off this little tripod. And we had to do it, I think, about 3 to 4 times, and every time almost
yeah,
did stuff in my pants.
yeah. Although that wasn't a tiny whimsical tripod, it was a very well built German-made top manufacturing.
Yeah,
You,
I
you could
think.
have done that. You could have done the overhead. Nothing would have happened.
Well, I was okay. Okay, I was not very. I was a little hesitant to go really
Yeah,
completely over the head. It was not
yeah,
quite like in the movie, but it was as close as I would dare to go. Right.
yeah. And you can actually see it in the shot that you filmed because it really goes nicely overhead, and then it suddenly stops, but it just goes a little bit further. And it's like you can see the hesitation in the actual image that was filmed. So that was nice.
Yeah.
But still, the overhead shot worked. When I saw it on the big screen on the beamer, I thought, wow, I got a funny feeling
Yeah,
in
I was
my
really
stomach.
exactly, and even about the 14th, 15th time when you watched it, was very impressive.
Yeah.
And
And we really
well,
tried to get the size of the dam
yeah,
on film. So,
yes.
from the side,
Mhm.
okay, with that low angle shot with my shoe in the picture. And
Yeah,
later
exactly.
that dumbassery trying to go with a steady cam over the. It was your
Yeah.
particular favorite. Yeah.
Oh, that was my favorite. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that went on for 1.5 or 2 hours, right?
Yeah, something like that until I tried to have it steady, which never worked with that steady cam
Yeah.
because, that balancing thing is not for me. I can balance myself, but I cannot balance my camera equipment.
And
That's
it's
why I went for a GoPro.
yeah. For because, and I mean for the people watching and listening, I mean you really have to picture Benjamin where he's sort of slightly, bent down and he's just running around that thing for 1.5 hours on top of that dam. Fortunately, there were not many people around that day. It was quite. I mean, I think half of the time was
Fortunately.
almost empty. It was perfect for filming it.
Thank
Right?
God.
Yeah.
Thank God. But I threw all of that footage away. It was 100% far away from being steady. I just threw it away.
And
So,
that, but do you, for people who maybe want to visit as well? So yeah, I always, when I talk to people who like GoldenEye, I always recommend to them go visit the dam because it's just the feel that you get when you stand on top of that thing is just it's absolutely amazing. And I think
yeah.
you spent 4 to 5 days here, and we had a very busy filming schedule because then we had to go the next days. We had to go to Bern, we had to go on the Schildhorn, on the Blofeld hideouts.
This sounds terribly important. Filming schedule. All the film people are here. Yeah.
At some point, you started to do these vlogs.
Yeah.
And you remember the one at the top of the dam when you had the camera in front of you, you were filming yourself and you were walking across the dam, and there was a family with a grown man, presumably his
Yeah.
wife and his
Yeah.
son, and they
I
were
remember.
just persistently just next to you in the shot, and they were
Yeah.
just looking at you the whole time and walking with you. I'm
Yeah.
sure
They
they
just
were
kept
like,
walking. Yeah.
"Get
Well,
walking."
let's get along with that. Let's go along with that. No problem. Yeah. Yeah, I remember that family who just thought it was a good idea to just go along with it
Yes.
and don't bother to be
No.
in somebody's, I don't know, they didn't know behind the scenes it was
Yeah.
real film footage.
Yeah.
So
And they
we look
kept.
terribly important. I
Yeah,
know.
yeah, of
Yeah.
course. You had the nice. I think you had the vest on and then the
Yeah.
tie and everything. So it looked very official, right? And then
Yeah.
but they just kept the exact same. They weren't like going a little faster, a little slower than you, so they would have gone forward or would have fallen back. They were just the exact same pace, like
Yeah. Yeah.
and they were with the hands in the pants, and they were just like,
Yeah.
whoa.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Well, I threw away the Steadicam footage, but I still have the vlog that we made. So let's have a look at that, so people know what we're talking about. This is the Bond Bulletin blog, reporting live from Switzerland. And we're on the Berchtesgaden Dam, or the Contra Dam, as it is known, location of 1995's GoldenEye, starring Pierce Brosnan. And it was featured in the opening sequence, as you all know. And we're here to film scenes for the documentary A Bond for Life, which stars me, not bungee jumping, because it's not open today. Thank God! Perfect sunshine. The location is absolutely great. And to show you the stunning feature of this 220-meter high dam, we're going to take you over the side. Ready? Hey! Isn't that amazing? You've seen that footage more than me, so your recollection of it is much more vivid in your memory than in mine. So I really have to laugh because I didn't look at it that way, but now that I see it again, it's really.
Yeah,
That could have been real film footage. So when I came home, I could have seen that and said, okay, that's the only shot that works. I have to take it with that family in it. So whoever you are, if you're watching, thank you.
yeah.
But okay, it's a comedy element. from that time on, when we were finished up there on the dam itself, we went to the side to do some silly photographs. And I thought it would be a good idea. I don't know why I thought that, to interview you.
That's never a good idea.
Also footage that never went into the final film.
Wonder why.
Yeah, because we discovered each other's level of humor there. Look at that short clip I have prepared here, and then you know what I mean.
What can you say about Benjamin? What kind of person is he? What do you know about him and Jimmy Stewart?
Just about the person or the project? Or?
Now, how do you see me? Everything that you can imagine. How do you see me?
Okay.
Yeah,
I see you behind the camera.
okay. Another question.
No, you can go with that. Rephrase it.
I do it like I do it with everyone.
I don't know what you're aiming for.
Who is this Benjamin? What kind of person is he? Nobody knows something about him, but sort of is a film about him, so we need to know something about him. Who is this guy?
So Benjamin is a very devoted James Bond fan, the way I experience it, and he's just been visiting me in Switzerland. We did some location shoots, and he's a very funny guy, very cool to be around with, just a huge James Bond fan, and funny bloke.
Yeah, it's that laugh that stayed with me through 5 years now, also on Skype all the time. That's why I thought it would be a good idea to call this thing the Swiss Connection.
Yeah, there you have it.
Yeah, because you're not a normal interview partner. You're as far away from normal as the Earth is from the moon. So, but that's something we share, right?
Yeah, that's the wicked sense and grade of humor is just
Yeah. And we thought it would be a good idea to put it out there just for the world to see.
Yeah, exactly. See two completely weird people just ramble on.
Yeah, randomly about their experiences filming a documentary and doing stuff. Yeah, but Switzerland was really great. I loved it. I must say, if I have the choice, if I ever get the choice to move somewhere, if you give me, I don't know, 500,000 euros or €1 million, I would go to Switzerland. If they have me.
Cool. Yeah. But from those days, from those 4 to 5 days that we've spent here, like we said, we were on the Vesaska Dam, then we were in Bern, in quite a few locations. That's where they shot many of the scenes of Her Majesty's Secret Service, you know, with the city and everything, and the barn, of course, and the Schilton, the Blofeld hideout. From those days, what stays with you the most, or what is your most vivid imagination as of today?
I think I have to say Schilton. But it's sort of a 50-50 tie between Vesaska and Schilton. But Vesaska, as we said, with not many people there, and Schilton practically being overrun by tourists. Vesaska is more like it's a tranquil place to just take it in. The size of it, but there's not much you can do there. It's not like you can eat there. Well, you can do a bungee jump. When we were there, it was closed. So I didn't have to jump. Actually, they opened right when we left, but I didn't tell you guys.
Don't say that.
Yeah, no, now it's out there. So no, I could have done it, but one of you probably would have pushed me. So Schilton, as a visitor experience, gives you much more, obviously. And we've been up there for 7 hours, I think. And it was my first visit. I don't know, was it your first visit as well?
Yes, yes.
Really? And yours Swiss. So
yeah.
I think it was, for us all, it was the first visit. But I thought it was really worth the price we paid. Spending 7 hours up there, coming back with a sunburn. And I really felt well taken care of on the mountain, as we also met Christoph Egger, the CEO of the Schilternbahn. So that was great to see the Bond world and to have lunch in the revolving restaurant, and with these stunning views. So that must have been my favorite, still a little bit over Vesaska.
What a great day filming A Bond for Life!
And I still hope that one day we can actually go to visit the Foka Pass, which was featured in Goldfinger. But every time you came here the last couple of years. You revisited me a couple of times. Every time it was closed due to snow, to winter, or when we actually, and also I sometimes drive up there. It's only an hour away from here, and sometimes I will visit a good friend just in the other part of Switzerland, and you can actually, when it's open, you can drive over the Furka Pass. But every time, it's about 4 to 5 times a year I pass it actually. Every time it just fog. I mean, I've sent you some pictures where you just basically see a gray plate.
Nothing.
Nothing. It's just gray. And that was not tampered with. It was really the picture taken up there.
Yeah,
or even from underneath up. You just see a gray, just a gray solid. That's it.
Yep. When you sent it to me, I thought, well, now he's completely brain damaged because it's just a wall of fog. So Furka Pass could be anything. It could be, I don't know, could be your cat in a sandstorm. But yeah, it's really true. Every time we tried, but actually that one time we took the same journey twice when we went to the other side of the mountain via the tunnel train.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember, and maybe I have the clip, then I throw the clip in here, where actually Goldfinger was on the radio.
It's the kiss of death from Mr. Goldfinger.
I was quite surprised that Goldfinger was playing on the radio, because here in Germany, the Bond songs, when they are not Live and Let Die, or Nobody Does It Better, are rarely played.
Exactly, yeah, that's right.
Especially from the 60s. So Goldfinger, Thunderball, You Only Live Twice, From Russia with Love. I've never heard them being played on a German radio station.
That's right. Well, Switzerland is a little bit special because you have these different radio formats, and many of them are hot AC or AC. That's adult contemporary. I know that because I work at the radio station. And if I look at our radio station, which is sort of a good old Swiss compromise, we have a few Bond songs actually. There's still GoldenEye is being played in regularly. License to Kill also. Yeah.
That's good.
Skyfall.
Yeah.
And then was also Sam Smith. Well, you can see how much I like that song. What was it called?
Writings on the Wall.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then, the Gladys Knight, we had that. Yeah, 4, 5, 6 songs, yes. That's about it.
That's great. Yeah, that we here in Germany, the next best thing is we need English radio, because they often play Bond songs from the olden days, not particularly the new ones, but I hear Live and Let Die quite often when I'm listening to English radio. Nobody Does It Better is coming up a lot, and well, Goldfinger, Thunderball, from their compositions from the 60s, are quite special to put into a program. So they rather do it in a jazz segment or something, if they ever do it. I mean, Live and Let Die, you cannot really push into a segment.
Well, but then again, I'm astonished that Live and Let Die gets airplays because of the nature of the song. Because the song sounds like a compilation. It's like different songs jammed in one. And that is a very tricky format for a radio song. So I'm quite astonished that is being played. And
probably because it's Paul McCartney. That might be the only reason. I don't know.
Perhaps, yes.
But it comes up quite a lot. So in a week, when I listen to English radio in a week, I couldn't even tell you the exact station. It comes up at least 10 to 12 times.
Okay.
It's the average. Yeah. Nobody Does It Better, maybe 3 or 4 times, which is still quite a lot.
Yeah, but that's something I cannot understand why that's not in the airplays here in Switzerland, because that's quite a neutral song. I mean, it's not particularly a Bond song. It's quite a cool sounding little gospel sort of infused pop song from those days. So I cannot fathom why that's not being played more here. But okay.
Now, speaking about music and Bond music, what's on your table at the moment?
You mean project-wise?
Yeah. Apart from doing the videos for me for this YouTube thing, I mean, which probably keeps you busy day and night.
Yeah, well, but I really enjoy it. I mean, because we've talked about this briefly last time, but the thing is that you put together so great videos and also your tribute videos that you do that we did quite a few in the past also to John Glenn and particular movies. I especially remember one you did for the German Bond Club, which was sort of a tribute and making of Tomorrow Never Dies, which I got to score, which was a lot of fun. I really had a lot of fun doing that. And but as a project as of the moment is the one that comes into mind, the very first thing is GoldenEye 25, of course. That's using a lot of time at the moment.
Yeah.
That's the main big James Bond project at the moment, yes.
Yeah. And it really keeps you up long hours. So after your work, after your job at the radio, you come back home quickly, eat something, and basically start to compose, because it's basically in your expertise to compose, especially GoldenEye music, because I could say you studied the sound of Eric Serra.
So
you let this expertise flow into your compositions.
Exactly.
Of which you have put some on Twitter and YouTube as a teaser for the upcoming game, which is a single player, what do we call it, adaptation?
It's a revamp, a new, exactly,
How far have you progressed? How many levels does it have? And how much music are we talking here?
Okay, so I think I'm just now completing the 13th level, the music for the 13th level, which is just Surface 2 at the moment. And so there's 7 levels left, but of course there's also more music needs to be done. For example, for the intro, that we don't know yet how it is going to look, because we said we don't want to have the traditional gun barrel, of course, first and foremost because of licensing reasons or copyright reasons, because that's one thing, as you're aware of, is very delicate. And so we said we want to do something new and something that is reminding of that, but not exactly. But there's also something that needs music, and then of course you have additional music like music that's being played in the elevators, jazzy things. But I think maybe if I keep that pace that I have at the moment, maybe I will done by the end of the year or by at some point next year. And right now, when you're saying 13 levels done. Plus I did one elevator track. I want to do multiple ones. I did the menu theme, so when you choose the level and so on, and the watch theme. So these things are done, and we're now talking about 3 hours and 10 minutes of music.
Wow.
Yeah, that's going to be a load. That's a load, yeah. And that's another thing that I need to check out in time, because I want to release all that music. Because I have that story, when I bought the GoldenEye soundtrack, the original film score back then, that I was really disappointed because it lacked so many cues and that stuff. And that's basically it was 15 years ago when I said whenever I release something, I want it to be complete. I don't want people to buy for something and they're missing out on things that they expect. And we're talking about the whole arrangement, and of course also the little cues that you hear when you complete an objective. All those things will be there, with one exception. That's the death cues, because the levels are structured in that way that you have a suite per level that is going to be on the soundtrack, and that is just a transition from all the different elements to another, and you just can't possibly cram the death cue, for example, and that just doesn't work. You'd have to do it separately, and that's just 1 or 2 seconds worth of a cue. How you want to do that?
Okay, understand. Okay, so well, long days for you, but then again, plenty of time to sleep when you're dead.
Now
see what I did there? I started our own little game. It's just for us. One quote is not enough.
Oh yes.
So I hope I get a point for that.
Yeah, absolutely. By all means. I held myself back a little bit, because usually what people may be not aware of, they will discover that. They will discover that. But I used to drive you almost insane with the quotes all the time. And so I said,
mostly in the car.
On those long drives,
GoldenEye. I mean, you must have, most of the quotes must be in your head. I haven't seen GoldenEye for, I don't know, years and years and years.
What?
Yeah, I actually never watch a Bond film at home.
Okay.
People might find that surprising.
Okay, yeah, so do I, yes.
It's ages that I saw a Bond film at home.
And on what occasions do you see them one? Or do you see one then?
Well, I see a lot of them when I work with them, when I need material for trailers, teasers, events, or something. So I subconsciously watch them, and I have seen them often enough that I know where to find which scene. So I have a photographic memory, so I know what particular image that I want to use or scene I want to use, and I know exactly where it is. It's the same with music. So if you play a 007 music challenge with me and ask me, oh, where's that track from, I know exactly from what scene and from what film. And in most cases, I can tell you, like you probably, the composer and the year it was released or something.
Yeah, okay.
Maybe not the exact track name, but I know from what scene it is.
Yes.
So watching a Bond film just for pleasure, I haven't done that in years.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't know why.
I just need that every once in a while. I think all 3 months, especially, I think I said it a few times, is my biggest weakness is just the 4 Pierce Brosnan Bond movies. Those are just, I can watch those over and over again, and every time. I just wrote you last time when I watched Tomorrow Never Dies after probably.
Yeah, I was thinking of that.
Yeah, exactly. I was just again, it was completely taken over by it because I know there's many people who criticize those movies, but to me they're just fantastic. Those are my Bond movies, really. Yeah.
Well, we grew up with them, didn't we?
Yeah, exactly.
So, I don't really understand the hate that Die Another Day gets.
No, absolutely not.
I mean, sure, it is an half unfinished thing because some things don't fit together really well, but it is a solid action thriller. It is popcorn cinema.
Yeah.
You get what you pay for.
Exactly.
What Roger Moore always said. You get 2 hours of fun.
Exactly.
And I remember I had these 2 hours of fun when I went to the cinema.
Absolutely.
And still today, I enjoy Die Another Day. It is a bit over the top. It's not just a bit over the top. It's full throttle over the top.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that was I think the over the top that we liked back in those days.
That's what sometimes I usually online and on social media I don't engage in conversation when it gets to all the Craig and Bond and Pierce Brosnan thing because I just had enough of that really. But the thing is, I can sum it up quite easily. When I still watch the Pierce Brosnan Bond movies and also the Roger Moore ones, the Sean Connery ones, etc. When I watch those movies, I get sort of a special sensation. I feel something. It is really I'm transported into that world. Everything else fades away, and that is something that I've missed ever since Casino Royale.
Okay.
After that, I never had that experience, that out of body experience almost. I never had that again, and that's why I dislike those movies so much.
But you still had it with Casino Royale?
No. The last for me, the last Bond movie where I got that feeling was Die Another Day.
Okay.
After that, I never got it again.
So, having established that Daniel Craig is not your favorite, what is the problem of either the casting of Daniel Craig or the films as they are now? Or are they both the problem?
For me, they're both the problem. I don't want to be offensive to Daniel Craig. I mean, he's probably a good artist. He's a good actor, and he's made his, he knows his way around. He's had his career. More power to him. It's not that I take it on a personal level, but on a professional level. I remember the first time when I saw Daniel Craig, it was in that it was some supporting role in Road to Perdition. Do you remember the movie, the Mafia movie with Tom Hanks, starring Tom Hanks? Yeah. And he was playing sort of that sleazy character that was sort of this mischievous sleazy character. And when I saw that movie, I thought, I hate that guy. He played it well. That's why he came off so sleazy, and the face, everything went along with that. And I remember the day when it was announced that Daniel Craig is now James Bond. I said, "Who? What? Who's Daniel Craig?" I saw the picture. And I said, "Oh no." There would have probably been 3 guys on the whole planet that I never wanted to play James Bond. He was one of them.
Who were the other 2? Out of the 3 guys who you don't want to play James Bond, who are the other 2?
Yeah, I know it was just a random number, but there are a couple of guys that I cannot.
Probably
picture.
us.
Huh?
Probably us.
Okay, then let's say you, me, and Daniel Craig.
Okay, if it comes down to that, I don't know. probably go for Daniel Craig.
Yeah, well, in that case, you're right. Yes, yes.
Yep.
Well, and the other thing is just generally, I mean, it's you can't blame just him for that, what I just explained.
No.
And you can't even blame, I mean, I always have sort of a love-hate relationship with the Bond producers, Barbara Broccoli and Michael G. Wilson, because, I mean, for me, they did the best Bond movie, GoldenEye. I mean, that was their first thing where Cubby was not involved anymore. They had to come they had to come with their own story. They did an absolutely brilliant job with that movie and the next ones with Brosnan. I love them for that, but for the movies that are nowadays, the current movies that they do, I just. But then again, it's not only their fault because it's the whole thing that you have to account, and it's the political correctness that you have to adhere to. It's the whole way of the Bond movies were always contemporary. And we've talked about this on Skype many times, and we've discussed this many times before, that it just, in general, I don't know when I last visited the cinema when I came out and actually really liked the movie. Over the last couple of, I would say, maybe 5 to 6 years, with some possible exceptions, but it's just the whole way of filmmaking nowadays is just not appealing to me anymore. And of course, Bond is contemporary. Yeah, they stick to that formula as well because they have to be up to date. And so there you have the problem. Yeah.
So recently I read a lot about Brosnan's films together. From GoldenEye to Die Another Day. People said it was one of the worst phases for Bond. Brosnan wasn't in character. He was wooden. He also came across as sleazy. Because of the hairstyle and makeup and the suits and everything, and then you have the BMW stuff thrown in, so they compress this as one of the worst time that Bond ever had on screen. Are they all wrong? Are they all on the wrong train going nowhere? Or is there really something to criticize that we overlooked because we really like those films?
Yeah, that's a good question, yes. Well, I think one thing that you could argue is that his delivery is quite, like you said, it was not only in Die Another Day, it was already in GoldenEye, that he's really playing this sort of out of this world agent. Yeah. I mean, we have those famous when he runs from people somewhere, there are 50 soldiers behind him, they're all shooting at him, he doesn't get a scratch, his hairstyle is not being messed up or something like that. But then again, it's what Roger Moore already said. James Bond as a character is so unbelievable and so over the top by the very nature of it. Yeah. That they know him everywhere, they know what he drinks, and then everybody recognizes him. So to me, the whole thing is out of this world. It is not realistic. Yeah. So to me, there's no argument in saying that he had a wooden delivery and so on. No. For me, he had exactly the delivery that fitted to James Bond, to this make-believe character.
I think there is a lot of analyzing these films to death going on.
Yes, right.
And that is exactly the problem, because you override what Roger Moore told us. He said, you go to the cinema, you pay that and that kind of money to have 2 hours of fun and be entertained.
Exactly.
And with the Brosnan films, I always left the cinema very well entertained. Exactly. And I remember that quite fondly and quite vividly.
Yes.
And the first time I was disappointed coming out of a Bond film, I remember also quite vividly, because it was the first time, was after Spectre. And I saw it in London at the IMAX, which, well, the size of the screen, it was probably just the second time I saw an IMAX film or something in a real IMAX cinema. And I thought, yeah, well, it's big and everything's louder. And I just came out and thought, I just watched some random action movie. And there was no feeling in me to say, hey, let's go somewhere, celebrate that film because it was really great. And no, it was nothing. It was just going home to the hotel, not really thinking much about what I just saw.
Yes. Right.
And I had the same feeling after Quantum of Solace, but less, because I had a headache. Just because of the opening sequence being cut so fast I didn't think about the film for hours until my head was better, until the pain was gone. But I didn't give much thought to it. Tomorrow Never Dies, I remember, I thought about it for days and days and days and days and days.
Yeah.
And then you collected. You started collecting everything you could get. Posters, flyers,
Exactly.
whatever they had from BMW, from Arvis, all the promotional material. Quantum, I have nothing. Spectre, I have a few Heineken bottles, but that's it. So this boom was gone.
Yeah.
Somehow. And that's what I'm missing with the Craig films, because
Yeah.
they somehow level in more with being a generic action thriller. I know many people will hate me for that, just for the word generic, because Bond is not generic. It is quality cinema, or has always been quality cinema for almost 60 years.
That's exactly, I think therein lies the problem, because I watch, for example, I watch a lot of interviews with film music composers, for example.
Yeah.
And many of them say that nowadays, in many cases, if it's not some sort of art movie, or if it's not some sort of retro movie, for example, and this stands for a lot of things in these movies, for example, the composer almost is forbidden to write something that has a strong theme or strong tune, because you don't want to have anything that is too much out there. You want something that's very formulaic, something that's very in the middle. It doesn't go too much to either side. And
Okay.
that's the same with every film. I mean, if you remember 20, 30 years ago, I'm sounding like an old man already, but there are no Rambo's born again these days. There are no John McClane's born. There are no James Bond's born. Nobody, the film studios and the whole Hollywood system, and you can hear that from different sides, is not willing to take risks anymore. They're only willing to pick up intellectual properties and stuff that is known to a certain degree, and keep cashing in on that, as opposed to maybe risk something and invent something, like I said, like a Terminator, like a Rambo, or anything.
Yeah.
And that's why I think you have that impression, which I had too. I had to go review Spectre for the radio station, because they said you're sort of the guy in this radio that knows about Bond a little bit. So go and watch it. Like you said, I saw the gun barrel for the first time for a long time. I thought, oh wow, now we could be back on track again. But then after that, it was just I always said okay. And I went out of the cinema and said, okay, well, yeah.
Let's hope for Bond 25 being a bit better, and maybe, well, I still think they are closing a circle somehow, and it will be the end of Daniel Craig's tenure, I guess. It's never 100% certain, but yeah, maybe after that we can go watch Bond movies together again if they get Pierce Brosnan back.
But that's the thing that you say. That's an important thing, because now it was I mean, if there were people who didn't like Bond when he was played by Timothy Dalton, then probably they found a connection to it again when he was played by Pierce Brosnan or Daniel Craig. And as I say, the hope is not lost. It's not gone. I mean, maybe they did this thing now, and they say, okay, now with the next actor we're going to do it differently, and maybe again it will be differently to a way that is more to our liking, or
And you do a lot of defending. So I do a lot of defending of Dalton, actually.
Yeah.
Because people always say, oh, Dalton, he was never Bond. He was not good looking enough. But actually, he was just like Fleming wrote it.
Okay.
Because Dalton had a vicious portrayal of Bond. You really had the feeling that he is a dangerous man, and that anything could happen at any moment.
Yeah.
So I really liked that very much.
Well, that's the thing that we've talked about as well. I mean, I never read a Fleming book, to be honest, and I've never spent it. So when people come with the argument that they say, oh, well, this actor's closer to Fleming, I say, I don't care. I never read one of those books. I just see what I see. And I defend Dalton as well. He's, to me, he's pretty much up there as well. His two movies were fantastic, and he did a fantastic job.
Yeah. The only thing I don't like is when it's, I don't know, maybe it's just me who sees that, but when he's up on the Ferris wheel with, you know what I mean, the scene I'm talking about with Kara, and he says that awful line of "don't think, just let it happen." It seems so shut up and just go along with it, It was so inappropriate and so unromantic of a thing to say.
Yeah.
But okay, apparently he's Bond, and women just fall for that kind of crap. But up to this day, when I watch it, I always watch that scene and think, oh, I mean, you look at that afterwards, and didn't they just think it was a little bit awkward? Apparently not.
Back to the Your Mama jokes and Die Another Day.
Yeah.
Those
Looks
are
good, Timothy. No problem. Really splendid job.
Well, I wouldn't recommend to try it in real life myself, but well.
No, probably not, especially not with a toy elephant. Speaking of comments that people make about Brosnan and Dalton and having their own perception of things, my comments are turned off under the new YouTube videos for the simple reason that I explained in the launch video, that I don't want people to express hate, not criticism. I'm fine with criticism, but there are a lot of trolls and funny people who think it is a good idea to insult other people, and that is especially the thing. So let's say you're fond of Connery, and in the comments you have, oh, Connery was so bad, Pierce Brosnan is much better, you're a dick or something, yeah? And then I have to read through all of that and filter and delete, and so I just disabled it. And you told me recently that under the videos you posted for GoldenEye 25, of which we will hear a short clip in a moment, that under these compilation videos you do, there are a lot of hate comments about the music for GoldenEye 25, but I understand it is a fan project and people don't have to pay for it once it is released. So what do you think about that?
Well, what I noticed was especially the increase in the hate comments. It was, I have to say, I was always very fortunate because I was spared a lot of hate. I mean, I have quite a small but a very nice and very active following on the YouTube channel. I mean, it's about 1,100 subscribers now, and I was always very, very fortunate not to get a lot of hate, which I always found a little peculiar because you can also see on some videos of perfect performances of songs, and so there are people who dislike those videos, which I can never fathom what that is about. I mean, if I don't like something, I come from the generation or time or the upbringing that I just think, okay, shit, and I move along. You know, I don't make people feel bad by disliking it, or even worse, taking the time to really shit on people's heads. You know. Yeah. And the amount of hate and the degree, and I'm just talking about the YouTube channel, because in the beginning last year we had quite a promotion phase for GoldenEye 25, where it was featured in different magazines and online forums and so on, and there was a lot of hate going on. That was, but then at one point I stopped reading it. You know, also all that crap about cease and desist letters and stuff like that. Eventualities that could happen, but you know, why would you bother talking about that stuff, about things that could happen? But yeah, well, you know, nuclear bomb could fall down, could also be, but why would you talk about it when it's, well, anyway. But the increase in the hate comments on YouTube, I mean, it was especially a phase of 1 or 2 weeks where every second day when I went and checked the comments, there was always those bad comments and, oh, the music is such shit, and I would prefer the original soundtrack and so on. I was aware that what we do with GoldenEye 25, with our dynamic music system, which is more reminding also sonically of the movie and not the games, is just a way that you will offend people as well, because GoldenEye is such a passionate thing people are passionate about. And so I was aware that there's at least some people will be that don't like this concept and would much rather have the original track. And incidentally, I just saw a couple of days ago a video of a YouTuber who did a few of the original GoldenEye maps for the Cry engine, so Far Cry 4, I think it was, and he just slapped the original tracks on top of that, and it just didn't work at all. Yeah, because it was just, you know, it was just static music, and also those older sounds that they used back then, they just don't fit to a modern setting, a modern looking game anymore. And so that reassured me that what we are doing is well, not the better way. It's, you know, it's not better or worse, but there was a good way what we were doing. But just the amount of comments, you know, just people go like, oh, this is so shitty and this sounds like Saran. I said, yeah, well, that was the point of the thing. again, why would you argue about taste? If people say they hate Brosnan, again, some say, okay, well, you're entitled to it. It's okay.
Generally, I feel that in our society, the tone has become much more aggressive the first time we voice an opinion. And I see that in everyday life, that people don't just say, hey, I don't like what you do. They automatically go into saying, I hate your shit.
Yes, exactly.
So the tone has changed. The words have changed, and you are automatically subjected to, well, hate, not opinion, hate.
Yes, exactly.
And what's more of a reason to turn my comments off, because
And that, yes.
and I thought about it really hard and long, because I also don't have then the opportunity to read through comments and filter out people's questions that they have under a video like ours now. For example, if they have a question for you or a question for me, something about the Brosnan film, something about A Bond for Life or whatever. But okay, I have to live with that. But I think weighing the options, not having people subjected to hate comments in their own community, so one insulting the other, not just me directly, but each other. I think that's just the thing you have to do nowadays. And it's sad, because it really stops the discussion from happening. But for that, we have Facebook or Twitter, where apparently everybody can voice their opinion, up to the President of the United States. So.
And that's what you say. And that's also something that bothers me these days, and that really almost drives me insane. When I overthink it, I try not to do it. But it's exactly what you say. In everyday life, on social media, the tone and the degree of hate has becomes increasingly violent and just downright mean. And on the other side, we're living in times, of political correctness, and where everything has to be, every word has to be weighed in, and you have to be careful of what you say, and you have to think about everything that you say to not offend any sort of person or group or thing. And on the other hand side, you have that overboarding hate and like you said, and insults and everything like that. And I can't get these things together.
And that's my general feeling is, because I'm part of a lot of groups on Facebook and WhatsApp chat groups or whatever, and whenever a topic comes up where there is a heated opinion exchange, the last thing was the press live launch of Bond 25, where there was a lot of discussion, positive and negative. And well, most of the time, my feeling is, don't bother showing me the rest.
2 points for you. 2 points for you. Well, so much for German efficiency.
Okay, I'll let that one go. Okay. Yeah, you have to get that point, obviously.
Thank you.
Oh, Götz Otto, he's such a nice man. Really.
Oh, yeah, he was just, yeah.
Yep.
So the thing was, it was a really funny story to tell, because actually I live in a very small town here in Switzerland, in a small canton. So it has about 20 to 30,000 people living in this canton, which is the whole thing. And the
town, you were going to say 20 to 30 people living.
Well, not quite that
small. Really small.
Oh, we all live in the same house.
Given that the restaurants are closed during the day, midday.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And that's the story for some other time.
Exactly. And this is a really small town where I live. So there's about 7,000 to 8,000 people in this town, and there was a play, and like I said, I worked at the radio station, and one day I was doing my show, and then I heard a commercial break, and then I heard that one thing that they have a new play in town, which is called The King's Speech, very famous play, and then they named a few actors, and one of them was Götz Otto, and I was like, what? And I went back and listened to that commercial again, and then I rang up the director of the theater here, and I said, is that possible that we're talking about the same Götz Otto who played in that German film Der Untergang, which is about Adolf Hitler, and James Bond, exactly, and James Bond? And he said, well, I don't know, it could be, I have to check in. And I said, yeah, please do that, because if he's coming to town for a play, I want to know. And then he rang me back about half an hour later, and he said, yeah, it's Götz Otto, it's that guy we're talking about. I said, can you please set up an interview? I have to meet this guy. I mean, Tomorrow Never Dies is one of my favorite pictures, and I have to meet this guy. He played that. Well, okay, I can try. Then I got in touch with the management, and quite quickly, which was also what you've experienced, is that we got in touch with him directly. He was super nice. He was very, well, not chatty, but he was very, very nice and well-spoken. And so we've arranged, and he said, you know what, the play starts at 7 p.m., and he doesn't have a lot of time, and he will get here quite on short notice. I can meet him at about 6 p.m. in his garderobe for just having a quick chat. Yeah. And so that day came, and I had the early shift, and I wanted to go back home to get some sleep. It was about 1:30. And then all of a sudden, someone from the radio rang me up, and he said, here's a tall German guy who wants to see you. And I said, oh. Well, that can only be one guy. And I was on my way home, and I didn't have the car that time. I remember, because it was being maintained. And so I ran home because I wanted to have my Tomorrow Never Dies DVD signed by him. Yeah. Ran home, ran back to the radio, and there he was. And he was such an incredibly nice man. I mean, this guy came earlier just because I asked him, but why are you here now already? He said, well, I heard that you're a fan of my work, and that it's cool, and I wanted to give you some extra time. And so we chatted for about 1 hour. Then we did the interview, which was about half an hour long, and then it was about 3 p.m. And I basically asked him, well, what are you going to do now? I mean, you have a few hours left and so on. And he said, well, if you have nothing to do, why not show me around town a bit? Yeah. And then we went out, and then I lit the cigarette, and then he said, you know what, usually I don't smoke anymore, but could you just give me a cigarette? And then I said, okay, now let's go. And we just walked around, because there's not very much to show in this town, as you are aware of. And we just walked around randomly. We just talked about this and that. We talked about football, which I'm not really a big fan of, but well, and then we talked a lot about Tomorrow Never Dies, and about Pierce Brosnan, and about the filming and the other films that he did, and a lot about life as well. And then I remember, because you told me that you wanted to get him for an interview as well. Yeah,
but that is the magic working of the fan community. I mean, it started, as you just told us, it started with you calling the director of the theater. And later you made the connection between Otto and me. So I sent him an email to say, can we do an interview when you are here right next 20 kilometers from here in a theater in Germany? And he said, okay, same as you, starting time 7 p.m. in the evening. And he said, we can meet before that, an hour or 90 minutes before that. So we did, in the hotel where he stayed. It was very badly lit for an interview, for an on-camera interview. And there were some elderly men in the back playing cards. So that's all on the sound. And then the waitress was going around with trays of beer and stuff. It's all on the sound. And we had dinner together when we were finished with the interview, and it was great, because half of it was German and the other half was English.
The other half was Fate.
Yeah.
Well, that was a little foul one.
Yeah. That's the point for you. Now you overtook me. Thank you. So you'll probably win this round. Yes. But let's see.
Okay.
So hard trying to think of a quote here.
When you're under pressure,
My
that's
sorry
what-
as, but okay. I thought of it. So, yeah. And then we went, of course, to see the play, The King's Speech, which was really, really great. And I paid a lot of attention to not pin him down on Bond in my interview. We spoke a lot about The King's Speech and how it is to play an actual person, much more a royal, the father of the Queen. And he was really, very kind and sophisticated. And there was a great flow in the interview. That I really, really loved. And I thought, wow, what a great guy. What a great down-to-earth person. Oh, he signed this and he signed that. The DVD cover of Tomorrow Never Dies and a photo. And he took a photo with me. He took a photo with Danny Morgenstern, who was there with me. And from this, we invited him to this 50 Years of Thunderball event. Of course, he wasn't in Thunderball. Neither was the car that we had during that event. But you had one of Germany's most prominent names that we have at the moment in male actors. So, and all of this resulted out of your call to the theater manager. I like this micro world that we sometimes find ourselves in. That's that's incredible. It sometimes blows my mind.
Yeah. I mean, it was just pure chance. Everything was pure chance.
Yeah.
That's really impressive. Yes, and like you said, it was one of the best guys to meet ever. I mean, he also then signed my DVD. And he's not. There are the kind of actors that go, but I did other things than Bond and stuff like that. But he plays with it. He enjoys it. He loved. You can tell he loved having been in a Bond movie. And he also signed with the quote, "I owe you an unpleasant death." We're not going to count that as a quote because that's
That doesn't count. No,
it doesn't count. No, it was
no, monsieur.
And he also took pictures and just like you said, and he's a very calm guy. He's not jumpy and stuff like that. He's very calm, very just a fantastic man, really.
Okay.
It's time for a station break.
What? Oh, really? You just threw that in?
Yes.
Great. It was a tie before. I was trying to catch up to you.
Well.
Okay.
So much for time and efficiency. You can't count that because they already came.
They don't count double. So, but at least we don't have a tie now. So you win our very first game of One Quote Is Not Enough. Congratulations. Your prize is, as usual, nothing. Yes, but I can buy you a delicatessen in stainless steel.
Are you going to count that? I was sort of...
No, I'm not going to count that because I already announced the score. So
okay.
It's just for you to take and for me to use it once.
Okay.
Well, but I buy you a beer when you come visit me.
Fantastic. Yeah.
God, is that the time? Not that I want to throw you out of the line or anything, but I thought to myself, it's better to have small compressed videos that people can digest while they have their breakfast, lunch, dinner, or midnight snack than to have hours and hours and hours of chatter.
Yeah.
Because I don't like it, you don't like it. So let's keep this short. And I say good night to Switzerland. And you say what?
Good night to Germany.
Oh, how boring.
Well,
you literally couldn't come up with something better.
Yeah, well, you threw me in that situation. What was I supposed to do? What were you
I throw you in a lot of situations, and you come better in pretty much all of the others. So come up with something else. Come up with something Swiss. Teach us some Swiss German. What do you say in Switzerland? Okay, that's a very good one. In our dialect, and we have a very special dialect, which also German-speaking people don't understand. It's because I was always a cunning linguist. We say. I just thrown that in that you can add more Walther PPKs. Anyway. I just told you the game was over. It was.
The PPKs are gone already.
Yeah, well, the score has been the points were already out of the picture. The game was over.
Okay. Yeah, I know. Well, that's our communication. But anyway.
Yeah. Difficult.
Yeah. Cultures. No.
And now Swiss German on top of that as a cherry on the cake.
Yes. Gute Nacht.
Good Nacht.
Gute Nacht.
Yeah. Okay.
Good night.
With that, did I say it right? Good Nacht. It means good night, right?
Yeah. Good Nacht. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Exactly.
Then with that, good Nacht, Yannick.
Good
See
Nacht,
you
Benjamin.
next time we film The Swiss Connection Volume 2.
Looking forward to it. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.